It's another Wesley Wednesday with Pastor Dave. John Wesley believed that Methodists should be as difficult to hide as visitors in a foreign land. It was his conviction that authentic Christianity carried with it some distinguishing characteristics that would set Christians and Methodists apart from the rest of society. He wanted those who followed the Methodist way to live out their faith in everyday life. Wesley believed that God's grace was freely offered to all, and that those who were justified by faith should practice the means of grace to enjoy the fruits of Christian life and to grow closer to God. By means of grace, he meant outward signs or words, actions ordained by God. The means of grace would include prayer, fasting, Bible study, attending worship, hearing the word preached, partaking of the Lord's Supper, love of neighbor, including acts of kindness and mercy to those in need. Wesley was clear that these practices do not save us, but allow us to journey toward a more perfect walk of faith, being made perfect in Christian love, as he would say. Now, I love this quote from Bishop Reuben Job in a Wesleyan Christian Reader. He says, if you were to ask Mr. Wesley why our relationship with God seems more distant than we would like, he would likely ask us if we were fully utilizing the means of grace. Do you want a more vital relationship with God? Do you long for the assurance of sins forgiven? Do you want to experience growth in your Christian life? Then practice the means of grace. We can, through the means of grace, place ourselves in a position to receive God's great and good gifts for us each and every day. End quote. Now, I suspect most of us agree with and put into practice a number of these spiritual disciplines. I would even suggest that listening to these daily devotions is a means of grace for us. However, you may be surprised to learn that one of the most challenging controversies which the early Methodists faced was over Wesley's teaching about the means of grace. A group known as the Quietists, or the Still Ones, argued that the practice of any spiritual discipline was in fact trying to earn God's grace, or theologically speaking, works righteousness, and was not scripturally sound. The Stillness movement was a thorn in the side to John and Charles Wesley, and resulted in divisions within several of the societies. In an attempt to quell the controversy, John went to London in 1740 with what he describes a heavy heart. He writes, I found the societies in disarray and full of contention and controversy. The disputes were so widespread that they were diverting the Methodist attention from their focus on Christ. Here I found every day the dreadful effects of our still brethren, reasoning and disputing with each other. Scarce 1 in 10 retained his love for Christ, and most of the rest were in utmost confusion, biting and devouring one another. John asked a member of the Fetter Lane Society in London, one who had been a loyal Methodist, whether he continued to practice the means of grace. To which the gentleman responded, there are none, neither is there any good from those who claim there are, or who call upon us to use them. Most of us have cast them off. Now think about this for a moment. It is as if one were to say we have no need to attend worship, observe the sacrament, attend to daily prayers, or practice deeds of mercy toward our neighbors. We only need to be still and wait for the Lord. John responded in his usual way by writing sermons, letters, and direct meetings with those on the other side of the controversy. Charles, on the other hand, took it personally. After attending a contentious meeting also at Fetter Lane, he returned home and, in his words, weary, wounded, bruised, and faint, through the contradictions of these poor sinners who are contenders for stillness. His response was to pen a 20-verse hymn titled "The Means of Grace." Next week, I will continue to focus on the Stillness Debate and its effects on the Methodist movement. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back next Wednesday. Have a blessed day.